So 10 years ago, we created this brand new entity within government to say, look, how do we be great here? How do we fundamentally change the experience? And that is Service New South Wales, this concept of a one-stop shop for anything that you need from New South Wales government. My background before public service was primarily banking. And so banks have been talking, like many industries, for decades and decades around how do we put customers at the centre of everything we do? How do we move from product or transaction centric in our organisation and thinking to customer centric? I think governments are kind of coming to that conversation decades later, but arguably with a much, much greater complexity to solve. You know, when I think about my time in banks and how do we get different products and possibly wealth management and retail banking, you know, coming together around a customer in a way that makes sense. You put a government context over that and you're talking about, you know, everything from the Department of Health and 150,000 health practitioners through to Taronga Zoo and everything in between. So it's just got this different type of complexity to its context. So we created Service New South Wales. It's a team of about 5,000 or 6,000 people. We serve about 35,000 customers a day through 114 service centres across New South Wales. We'd serve about 40,000 people by phone every day, and we'd serve multiples of that, many multiples of that digitally. Customer satisfaction for Service New South Wales has bounced between about 96 and 98%. For the last 6-7 years. And it's just an extraordinary experience of government that is in such contrast to anything that we've done before. We should all take pride. If you look around the world, there are very few, if any, equivalents of Service New South Wales, and we see many ways that that's driving different outcomes for our state. So that's kind of the what. The why was, you know, we really want to impact this trust. We really want to fulfil the purpose of government. We want to get people and every last person, every last business, an ability to access the services government effortlessly. But if I talk a little bit about the how, and I'll talk about this through two lenses, there's so much in there, but I might sort of touch on really the 5 things that I obsessed on from a leadership standpoint when I was leading that organisation for 5 years. Then we might sort of just bring it to a bit more to a pointed conversation or the start of a conversation around the impact of the financial leadership in that. There was really 5 things that we focused on throughout that 5 years. The first would be no surprise, it's customer. Really, really easy to say. A lot of organisations will have put the customer at the centre of everything we do in their strategy. Really, really hard to embed that right through your organisation, through every interaction, through every decision. We obsessed with that. And it wasn't just the culture that exists within Service New South Wales that has tremendous care and empathy for the people they're serving, but the mechanisms that we put in place that ensured that everything we did was held up against that lens of what does this mean for our customer? Will this make it easier for our customer? Will it make it hard for our customer? I find you get to a point where that's working really well, and then actually the ability for you to hold on to that kind of customer-centric DNA becomes more about the things that you don't do than the things that you keep doing.